Welcome to The Insider, the official podcast for the city of Murfreesboro. I'm Mike Browning. Our topic, visitor spending on tourism in Rutherford County and Murfreesboro. Our guest is Barbara Wolke, Senior Vice President of the Rutherford County Convention and Visitors Bureau, the CVB. Thanks for joining us, Barbara.
Thank you, Mike.
And let me first of all say congratulations on receiving this very prestigious award, which was the Women in Hospitality and Tourism Award at the Governor's Conference on Hospitality. You must be delighted.
Mike, I was very honored to receive this award, and I share it with our entire CVB team who works very hard to promote Rutherford County as a tourist destination. So thank you.
Yeah, it's always more than just one person. It's always a team of people and a good team that causes the success that you have like that.
Absolutely, you are correct.
How long have you been serving with the CVB in your capacity?
I started in November of 2003, so it'll be 20 years this November.
Congratulations on the anniversary.
Thank you very much.
Let's talk about the record amount of visitor spending in Rutherford County. I think it was in Tennessee and Rutherford County, but let's specifically discuss Rutherford County, lay out some of those particulars for us.
Yes, Rutherford County continues to be a major economic development driver. Our recent numbers that we received at the Governor's Conference shows that tourism in Rutherford County generates over $744 million. Mike, that is a 17.3% increase over the previous year, and we're very excited about those numbers. We're proud to be ranked 7 out of 95 counties across the state, and would you believe that tourism generates $72.1 million in local and state taxes in the county?
You know, there are people that maybe discount tourism. They think of other things before that. They think of industry, for example, or small businesses. But really, a lot of attention needs to be drawn to tourism because that gets people here that then end up spending the dollars on everything else.
It does, yes, and it brings in tourism dollars that, of course, creates tax revenue that is spent on infrastructure, roads, and schools, and other things.
When we talk about tourism, what are we really talking about in particular?
Well, tourism is a major economic development driver. When you talk about tourism, you're talking about visitors coming in to stay the night, to dine in restaurants, shop in our retail stores, and then they go home. They, it's very economical for them to come into a county that is close to Nashville, close enough to Nashville to see everything there is to do in Nashville, but also enjoy everything we have to do here.
So what kind of either events or sites or things that attract them particularly to Rutherford County?
Well, we are home of Stones River National Battlefield, which is our primary attraction, and they recently released some great numbers, 600,000 visitors last year, and I think that's almost double what they normally see. The Discovery Center sees approximately 120,000 visitors annually. Oakland's Mansion, the Sam Davis Home, as well as our historic downtown, Murfreesboro, and the Depot in Smyrna, and other areas.
And then when visitors come to see these particular sites, like Stones River National Battlefield, they don't just come just to see Stones River and visit the museum there, but they stay in hotels and they spend money on restaurants and shopping.
They do.
Is that where all the dollars add up right there?
It is, and tax revenue.
So tax revenue is the good point. So how do other people that live in Rutherford County, we can put it in numbers that maybe the rest of us can understand as to why there's a benefit. How do we benefit from tourism?
Well, each household in the county sees a tax relief of $606 every year because of tourism. And that number is rolled out by the Tennessee Department of Economic Development every year. The State Tourism Department calculates this by taking the local and state taxes generated by tourism and dividing it by the number of households. And how they get the number of households is they take a 5-year estimate from the U.S. Census to get that number.
So does that mean, Barbara, that if it were not for the success that we have in tourism, that perhaps our tax dollars would be higher?
Yes, each household in the county would pay more in property taxes.
And that's where the benefit is, right?
That's where the benefit is.
That speaks to people who may not think of tourism as something that is
Yes.
positive beneficially. So.
Yes.
Let's talk about the collaborative groups and organizations, how you work together to help promote tourism, because it's not just the CVB, although you're the big driver of a lot of the marketing, but there are other organizations that contribute to this, right?
That is correct. Tourism does not just happen. It requires smart strategy, creative promotion, as well as strong relationships. And we work with several trade shows throughout the year. Just to name a few, we go to the American Bus Association, Connect, we go to Sports ETA, and we meet with sporting event and conference planners that are looking for a destination.
So at these different conferences or places that you go, that's where the recruiting occurs. What do you have to do to try to sell an organization on coming to Murfreesboro? I guess you might say, well, it's easy because we have so much to attract, but they also have competition. I mean, they can choose from other places.
Oh, yes. There are destination marketing organizations from across the U.S. at these shows. And yes, you, of course, sell your destination. You have 7-minute back-to-back appointments. At American Bus Association Marketplace, we have 2 full appointment books. So we have approximately, I would say, 70 to 80 appointments during that one show alone.
And what are some of the big groups that come in? The couple that I think of, for example, I know the firefighters from Tennessee have come here a number of times, maybe because it's a central location. Recently, I saw that the Office of the office professionals from Tennessee are coming to stay. I think they're using the Holiday Inn in this particular case. But what are some of the larger organizations that do choose Murfreesboro as a location?
Mike, we work with the National Guard Association every year on the National Guard Association of Tennessee Conference. We also partner with the Tennessee Society of Association Executives, which are a group of meeting planners from across the state that book conferences in Tennessee as well as the Southeast. Which, just to name a few of those, the Tennessee Gas Association, the Tennessee Medical Association, the Tennessee Dental Association, and all of those conferences require overnights and conference space.
I heard something the other day that I wanted to ask you about. I heard that really we need more hotels in Murfreesboro. That for some reason a lot of these big conferences come and they end up having to go sometimes to surrounding communities.
Yes, currently we have over 5,500 hotel rooms, and it is difficult to find group blocks during high demand. Hotels can block, they have what they call a group ceiling, which they can only block so many rooms for groups. So yes, I think we could use some more hotels.
So what are the programs that assist the CVB? I think the Department of Tourism you mentioned already, but they are probably very helpful in terms of their resources and the ability to make contacts.
Yes, we work very closely with the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development. I actually serve on the Tennessee Tourism Committee, which is a group of 40 appointed tourism professionals from across the state. And we're focused on not only selling the state of Tennessee, but of course I'm focused on selling Rutherford County. But it's nice to have a seat at that table. Other programs we work with, last year the state rolled out the ARPA funding, which Rutherford County will receive $877,000 toward transformational marketing projects. And what this means, Mike, is that these marketing projects are over and above what we are currently doing or what we have done in the past. And these projects will run through 2026. So we also work with the state on matching co-op marketing funds. As well as the Tennessee Tourism Enhancement Grants, where cities can apply for grants up to $100,000 for improvements to tourism-related facilities.
So let's talk about the TSSAA, the Spring Fling, which I think most people recognize as a big draw that brings athletes, their parents, visitors to watch these events every year. Is that the biggest tourism draw to Rutherford County?
That is definitely our largest event with over 40,000 visitors. It requires over 1,000 volunteers. The TSSAA Spring Fling also brings unpaid attendance. Those numbers were based on paid and unpaid attendance. The unpaid attendance would be your athletes, your school attendants. Yes, it is a very large event. And Mike, I'd like to say also that we recently extended our contracts for the TSSAA Spring Fling and reevaluated the economic impact. In the past, it was $3.5 million, but with the addition of Class 4 and the fact that Spring Fling now brings 8 additional softball teams and 8 additional baseball teams and other athletes to the area, the impact of Spring Fling is now $4.8 million.
That's a significant amount. And it's extended through what year now?
2025. And we also extended the TSSAA basketball championships, which the economic impact in the past was $3 million, and it is now at $4.5 million because the teams, of course, increased with the Class 4 added from 24 teams to 32 teams each week. So it brings more visitors, fans, and
That's great. Let's wrap it up with some of the goals that you have at the CVB, and then maybe some of the challenges that you're facing. What I mean by that is, let's say there's some even larger event than Spring Fling that you would love to have, but it's been challenging to bring it, or you know, if we just had this or that, we might be able to bring that into our community.
Right, yes. We aim to position Rutherford County as a premier destination through our marketing and sales programs with a focus to ensure that tourism, of course, enhances all residents in Rutherford counties by the tax savings. We're focused to grow the cultural and heritage tourism segment of business. We partnered with Rutherford Arts Alliance, and they will be rolling out the Arts and Economic Prosperity Study 6, I believe, next month. Actually, the last time the study was done was in 2017, which showed that arts and cultural events generated $31.2 million. So we're excited to hear more about the revenue that segment of business generates. And we'll continue to nurture our relationships with sports organizations, like you mentioned, to bring in those larger national sporting events. And we'll continue to work with CVent. I don't know if you've ever heard of CVent.
I haven't, yeah.
But CVent is it's a meeting planners platform where we go after large conferences, and conference organizers seek destinations, and we receive hundreds of leads from them annually. So we'll continue to work with them to grow the economic impact in Rutherford County.
You mentioned the arts, and that is a growing aspect of our community. There was a time where maybe it wasn't as recognizable as it is. They started the downtown art crawl. They do a lot in the community, and maybe you could address the significance really of having that vibrant cultural and arts type of community in terms of the economic benefits, because you know, people who, let's say, aren't into the arts don't realize what an impact it can have.
Right. Rutherford County features hundreds of murals, and visitors will travel to do a mural trail and come to see everything that we have to offer here. And of course, you know, once we get them here and they see everything that we have to offer, they'll tell everyone else. And that's word of mouth, of course, you know, with that segment of business. And yeah, so that's our focus, is to grow that.
And I guess that includes performance too, like Center for the Arts, which
yes.
is an attraction, and people come from probably outlying areas of Murfreesboro to see these performances.
Yes, performances and music also. People will travel to hear musical performances, and we work with the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development for the Tennessee Songwriters Week, which will roll out in February next year, but there's a lot of planning involved with that as well.
So back to the last thing we were talking about, you know, you mentioned the goals, but particular challenges. Is there anything in particular that the community should know in terms of what, you know, may be hampering some further tourism, or that if we just had, you know, this such and such facility or whatever, it might improve our ability to attract people?
I think the fact that we need more hotel rooms, I think that will definitely enhance our ability to attract larger events that will drive tourism.
And maybe we get that message out there to some of the businessmen and developers that put the dollars into that. If they know that, hey, there's a need,
yes,
perhaps they'll go ahead and make the investment.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Barbara, thanks a lot for being our guest on The Insider. This has been great.
Thank you, Mike.
Barbara Wolke has been our guest for this edition of The Insider. We've been highlighting tourism dollars in Rutherford County, originating this podcast from City Hall in Murfreesboro. Thanks for listening to The Insider via Podbeam, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Amazon Music Audible, as well as Google Podcast. You can also watch The Insider on YouTube. Our producer is Michael Nevels. For more information on the fast-growing city of Murfreesboro, it's murfreesborotn.gov. I'm Mike Browning. Thanks for joining us.